Hi, welcome to Abundance Recoded. My name is Tammy Reger, and today I'm sharing a message with you on what Source really wants you to remember, to trust, to flow with, so that the energy of July is beyond your wildest dreams instead of your worst fears. Right now, there's an energy that is picking up very fast in the second half of 2026 that we are being asked to step into, to trust, to lean into, to allow. But there is also a ramping up of fear. And we're being asked right now to stay out of the fear, and that the fear is just a story, the same playbook, they're saying, from centuries and years past that have been used to keep us separate from our truth, from each other, from what really is possible, not just for you in your own life, but for everyone that you touch in your surrounding world. Now, for the past probably week and a half, I have woken up to a song, and this is something that happens quite a bit. And this is The Land of Confusion by Genesis. For those of you who aren't old enough to remember who Genesis is, you may recognize the name Phil Collins. He was the lead singer of Genesis. That song is about how we have been taught that we live in the land of confusion. And right now, the energy of confusion is so crazy. It has been probably a lot of confusion, probably in the last 10 years, but it has really ramped up in the last 6 months. This year is the fire horse. And I think many people, including myself, thought that the fire horse meant that it was going to ride in and we were going to be free and everything was going to be happy and joyful. Maybe not in January, but soon after. But here we are in July and things are feeling still very upside down. And every time you think you have your balance, the rug moves. And right now, we're being asked to disconnect from the land of confusion. That is by design. If they can keep you confused, then you can't feel what is actually happening in and around you. And you can't tap into the fact that the second half of this year is supposed to be amazing. It came in with the horse running on the solstice or equinox. I get those confused in June. And it has come in screaming in July. This is not energy that waits. This is not energy that will hold back. It is moving fast on purpose. We are at an evolutionary jump. Your soul will no longer wait. It will not wait for the human to catch up. We have been in that pattern for, they're saying, decades, where your soul's been waiting for for your human to catch up. And that time for that is no more. Your soul is running the show. Your soul requires you a different way of living, a way for you to move with the energy instead of trying to figure it out, where it's leading you, what's happening outside of you. You need to remember that you are, in essence, life expressed. Your soul expressed in human form. Your soul has a purpose, or a mission for this lifetime. It came with your own unique set of gifts that only you can use, and your purpose is for you only. And we've been led to believe that the purpose is something outside of ourselves that we have to figure out. But really, your soul's known it all along. But because of conditioning, because of the potential even trauma that you've had in this life, you've learned that it's not safe to allow your soul to express. But right now, I want you to just take a moment and connect to your breath. This is where they bring me back all the time, because your breath is life expressed without you having to do a single thing. You are expressing life through your breath. And it's always there. As long as you're living, you are breathing. That breath is your soul express. Cancel. That breath is your soul's first expression in this human life. Your body is your soul's maybe second expression in this life. But at a very young age, we were told not to pay attention to the soul. Out of safety, out of watching what everyone else was doing, we grew up in a society, at least I did, where people didn't listen to their soul. In fact, it was like seen as like, let's just say bad. I was raised Roman Catholic, so it definitely was not accepted. And we learned to do everything in our power to squelch it, to move with the energy of everyone else so that no one knows that we hold this special set of keys. Well, that time to hide it is over. The self-abandonment, where we learned that we needed to abandon ourselves, our soul, in order to earn love, is over. Your soul is moving into a new era, a new way of being that nobody can tell anybody what that's going to look like, because one, we all see a totally different world than everyone else. No one sees the same thing, nor are we supposed to. So your expression of that new world, or new earth, as people call it, is going to be based on your own perception, your soul's perception, its purpose and design. And how it moves with that, you have to figure out. It's time for you to remember how to express what your soul wants. Now, there's a lot of conditioning around that. And you can either choose to still move with that conditioning, or start to recognize where you're moving from conditioning or your soul expressed. Source really wants you to come home to yourself. They're saying that so many people are searching for this place where they feel like they're going to belong, where they're going to feel love, where they're going to feel accepted, that feels like home. And really, that's always been within you. It is your soul that calls you home. Remembering your soul and the essence that you truly are, besides what the world has told you you had to be to stay safe, to have money, to have love, success, joy, all the things. But they were just stories that you have accepted as truth that you now get to move away from. That call to come home is within you, and allowing that portion of yourself to express life in the way you are designed to do so. And they're saying, it's going to be uncomfortable. You have lived this way without doing this for potentially decades, depending on how old you are now. So it's going to be like breaking a habit of being you for however long you have lived this life. But it doesn't have to be hard if you choose it not to be, because you're finally ready to realize where you're moving from conditioning, where you're not allowing your soul to express its destiny. You have a destiny to fulfill. And that destiny might be simple. It might be just remembering that your soul expressed and allowing that soul to express as it's designed to. And know in doing so that all the resources that you desperately want or feel that you need will come as you express that. Because money is just an expression of life. And when we move with life, abundance and the resources move with us. It's hard to move with money right now because our souls are demanding that we move with it instead of against it. It's been allowing us to feed ourselves through outside sources to get resources like money, success, belonging, fun, joy. But your soul already has those, and they are already those things. Your human version is the only part of you who believes that it needs to get money, or it needs to get a reason to have joy or happiness or peace. Your soul is already those things. It never was not those things. It always was. It's only that, again, we've been taught that it's outside of ourselves. But really, what's outside of ourselves is just the story that we tell ourselves over and over and over again. And if you're somebody who ruminates, who tells yourself stories about the past all the time, that's not your soul speaking. That is your human. And this is not about escaping the human at all. They're saying they really want to be clear that the human experience is very much part of this soul design that you have. And it's not about ignoring its needs. It's about getting the soul to be the director of your life instead of everything outside of you that is telling you to jump through hoops, to run faster, to chase, to force, to compete for. And remembering that there's no competition from the soul's aspect. There's nothing to chase, there's nothing to force, there's nothing to stress out about, because your soul has the full layout of your life. It knows where you're going, or what you came here for, and how to get there in the shortest way possible. And they always used to say to me, we're holding back on telling people the next steps because they overanalyze it, they don't move, and they overcomplicate it. And then it either doesn't happen, or it doesn't happen the way your soul wanted to. And then your soul's trying to make up for whatever the human did. So right now, we're only really getting very small movements on purpose. Some of us are getting bigger ones depending on where you are with being able to connect to that portion of yourself. But some of my clients are only getting little steps. And it's because it's like, show the soul that you're really ready to move with it instead of against it. In every moment, in every breath, you potentially are receiving ideas about something you want to do that excites you. We've all had those. Even if they're momentary, you've had them where you're like, oh, that would be so awesome if I did that. And then right away, the mind comes in and says, oh, you can't do that because of this, or that will never work, or you'll have to go to school for X number of time and you don't want to go back to school, or you don't know enough. All the excuses under the sun so that you will not follow that idea. That idea is literally from source, based on your soul's design, saying, hey, I got this really great project that I think you are going to love. And it's going to be so easy. Do you want it? And you, in that moment, are so excited. You're like, you can't even not talk about it. It's like, oh my God, it's going to be so awesome. And then 10 minutes, an hour later, maybe it's the next day, you have allowed yourself to be talked out of it because you allowed the human to override the soul's expression. Source is like, I don't want you to see it as like an assigned job. I want Source is experiencing life through you. That's what the soul is for. It's your soul design and expression based on how Source wants to live through you. And Source has this plan, an exciting thing for you to build. And you don't have to figure it out. And I think that's where we all get stuck. Like, oh, but how is that going to work? When is it going to happen? Where am I going to get the resources? Source assigned it to you. All of it's going to be there because this is like, they don't like me to talk about this, but it's like Source paying you. Money's not separate from us, and that's a whole different can of worms. But you have to start moving with that energy. That is what July is about. It's not about waiting. It's not waiting for things, let's say, to calm down in the economy or to calm down worldwide or nationwide or statewide, whatever you want to call it. It's not about that at all, because all of that is just a reflection of what you have created, what stories you have accepted as true up until this point. And we can't change what's out there outside us, because that's actually the past. It's created from the stories we told ourselves yesterday or the day before and the day before that. So we can't change that. The only thing we can change is what we are focusing on in the now moment. And then that creates the next moment and the next moment. So when you get these ideas, and I did it for years, I can't tell you how many notebooks of ideas that I have that I never moved on. Because I talked myself out of them, I wrote them down, forgot about them, and then would get frustrated with myself because nothing was moving. And it was because I wasn't moving with the energy that wanted to express through me. All those ideas I wrote down could have been $1,000,000 ideas, but I never did anything with them, or I did, but never finished them, never actually launched them, made them real beyond what's on my computer. You can't do that anymore. I'm not saying you shouldn't write them down, but we have to be in that energy of movement. Your soul expresses through movement. And I'm not talking about dancing. I'm literally talking about taking that idea and moving with it. And I really want to break something down that I think is overcomplicated. We have so overcomplicated so many things. It is outstanding. But one of the things that we have overcomplicated is the idea of the divine feminine and divine masculine. They're both super important. We all have both aspects within us, whether male, female, doesn't matter. But this energy that we're in July is showing me, at least, and some of my clients, how that actually all works together. It's not this energy that we have to like ritualize and remember. I guess it's remembering, but we've made it complicated on what each one is. And I'm going to give you a really simple way to look at this. Those ideas that you get, those moments of ahas, or that excitement to go take a class or maybe do something, a new project idea, a new business, maybe you solved a problem that really excites you, whatever it is, that is source first and foremost, but it comes through your feminine energy. It's that flow. The feminine can't stand structure. She just wants to be in this very floaty energy where she can play with the energy of creation. She is but the paintbrush on a canvas. And she takes that idea that you get from source, and she's the one who dreams. So now your imagination is moving. You take that idea and you're like, oh yeah, that can be this, and I can do this, and this is gonna happen, and this is how it's gonna work, and it's gonna be so excited. That is the feminine. You are working with the energy of creation, taking the foundational building blocks that source gave you with this idea, and then the feminine aspect of you runs with it. It moves with it. It imagines what is possible if you actually moved with it. That's where all that excitement comes from, and you're having all these great ideas, these aha moments. That is the feminine in action. She is most basic form. That is what she is. And then, and this is the part where we get stuck, the masculine part, which is the doer, right? In full balance with your soul, the feminine's moving in that free-flowing, imagining energy, no limitations of what's possible. She is just dreaming. And the masculine is supposed to move with that energy. Take whatever your feminine is playing with and move with it. What does that mean? Move with it. Put it in action. If you got an idea, go do it. If you feel like doing a YouTube video, go do it. That day. It cannot wait to the next day or the day after that. You have to make it a priority because this is going to be a different way of living. We have been taught that we can't do the things for ourselves until we've done all the other things that we need to do for other people or for our business or our job, whatever it is. This is where ideas die because we write them down, we play with them, and then we never go back to actually do the thing that we wrote down in a notebook because we've run out of time, or we've talked ourselves out of it, or we overanalyzed it, decided that it would never work. That's a choice. And we never move with the energy. Or maybe you do move with the energy, but you don't actually follow it all the way through. So then you don't actually get the outcome the source is going to give you once you get there. So this energy that we're in with July and into the next, coming months and years, you get an idea, you have to move with it. Your soul is literally giving you the instructions, if you want, guide on what you need to do in order to live the life that you are actually meant for. You are here to express life first and foremost. You express breath, which is life. You have to make it a priority. You can't not breathe. If you don't breathe, you don't live. And they keep saying that this expression is an expression of life. I constantly keep getting this message. So you have to make this a priority. You have to move with it every day. You have to allow it. So for the past, a month, I wake up in the morning and I ask, what wants to express through me today? It might be something to go along with a project that I'm working on, or it might be something entirely different. But I accept whatever that is, and I've learned to move with that without having to know what it will get me. That is a big piece of this, because we don't move with a lot of those ideas because we aren't really sure that what we've imagined, because we don't trust ourselves and our abilities to get what we want. So we don't do it because we don't think we'll get the outcome that we want, or there's too much a risk. But we can't do that anymore. It's going to keep getting harder and harder and harder. No one's punishing you. It's just that you're not living in alignment. And yes, up until this point, you've been able to get by doing that. I have too. But I will tell you that by not living in my soul's expression, it was squeezing tight. And I realized last month, there was no other way. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I've been doing the podcast, not every day. I do it on the days I feel like I'm supposed to do a podcast. Some days I'll wake up and I ask, what wants to be expressed to me, and I'll hear a podcast and I'll do it. This morning that didn't happen. I heard YouTube for the first time in a long time. And I was like, Mondays are client days, so fitting in a YouTube video is not necessarily an easy thing for me to do. But I knew I had to do it. And then I was like, oh, I'll do it later. And I heard, no, you're going to do this before your first client. And you're going to have enough time because this is what wants to flow through you today. It's not, these things that it's going to ask you to do aren't going to be in your comfort zone. Your soul wants to grow and expand. And the only way to get your nervous system on board with that is for you to actually go and do it. The big people, Tony Robbins, I can't think of anyone else's names, but many of them have said that before they get on stage, even though they've been doing this for years, sometimes decades, they still feel nervous before they get on the stage. So the idea that there's not going to be any fear is complete BS, and you just got to move through it. You got to go do it. And So the energy of this feminine and masculine are trying to balance inside of us, and that requires us to allow that imagination to play and to dream a life, but we actually have to move with it. What wants to be expressed through you today? And if you hear whatever it is, like for me, I heard YouTube, you have to do it. I didn't even get on here with a plan. I just heard, just allow us to talk through you. Okay. I'm allowing myself to be the channel of whatever my soul or source wants to talk about. And this is me, in essence, practicing moving with what wants to create through me. I could have easily said no this morning. Like I said, I have clients today. I didn't really feel like a video, but yet I knew if I chose not to, that it would not help me move in the direction that I know I'm supposed to move in. Yes, your human gets to make a choice, but why let your human go against what you actually are here for? Life is supposed to be easy. We're not supposed to be doing all this struggle and barely surviving. That is not at all what your soul came for. Source does not want you to do that. Sure, there are things you can learn through that, but when is it enough? You can actually learn, they're saying, more through playing, seeing what is really possible for you, because there's an expansion in that. And then once you expand into that, there's an expansion beyond that where you learn, grow, instead of just learning how to survive. They're saying, haven't you done enough of that? They're saying many of us have done that lifetime over and over and over again. They're saying it's enough. And you can't wait for the world to change. You have to choose to stop identifying with the survival and choosing to remember that you are soul expressed and move with the energy of what wants to be expressed through you without judging it, without editing it, without making it try to land soft. And there's a lot of self-abandonment where we've learned to stay silent to earn love or be safe, where we are afraid to make other people uncomfortable, so we sacrifice ourselves. And they understand there's a lot of that in there, and it all needs to be healed. But even with that, just knowing that that's the truth and something that has happened to you, you can choose to move differently. You don't actually have to heal the wound to move. You can choose differently. I'm not going to stay silent anymore. You know, it's one of the ways I was self-abandoning myself, is staying silent. I'm not staying silent anymore. And that's why most of my what wants to express to me is talking in some way, whether it's podcast or video or in a course that I'm doing, which I'm currently transmitting Time Recoded in my Abundance Recoded group, which you can find all the links to below if you would like to know more about that. Time is definitely something that our human expression has gotten us all tied up into, and it's not helping us at all. And it definitely won't help us as we move into a more aligned version of reality in the quantum field that lifts us up instead of confuses us and holds us down. That's the choice in July. Where do you want to be? Do you want to live in the land where love rules, unity, peace, freedom? Or do you want to live in the land of confusion? You know, every day we get to choose. So instead of focusing on all the confusion, what wants to express through you, go do that instead. That's it for this video. I will see you on the next one. Bye for now.